Welcome to the Roanoke Real Estate Podcast with your host and realtor, the Fraser Hughes Experience. And do not forget to Hughes it or
Hey
lose
there,
it.
it's Fraser Hughes, your host of the Roanoke Real Estate Podcast. Thank you for joining me today, and you can follow me right now on Instagram. I've got a couple different pages, Hughes or Lose, and then the Roanoke Real Estate Podcast is catching fire. Yeah, I had to call the Roanoke City Fire Department to put out the fire on the new Instagram page. It's Roanoke Real Estate Podcast. Hey, slow down on the likes there, all right? And I'm on Facebook, the Fraser Hughes Experience. I'm a licensed realtor in the state of Virginia, and excited. I'm feeling positive, pumped up to serve you, to help you sell and find your next home, and also give you these tips today. I was on my phone and reading a real estate article from HomeLight, tips to sell your home. And, you know, some of you have sold your home before and things have changed because it's been a while. I just talked to a guy who's been in his house since 1992. That's a long time. And then think about it. You're going to sell your house and you haven't sold, and maybe it's just been forever since you have, or maybe it's your first time selling a home. So I definitely have some tips for you to sell your house. I've been through this process many times. I'll share my experience with you as well to help you get the best bang for your buck. And coming in through the Hughes It or Lose It satellite right now are the tips. The first tip is to make sure that you're ready to let the home go. What do I mean by that? Well, you know, you've been at this house for a while, probably, or maybe you haven't, but there's some emotional attachment for many people when it comes to selling homes. If you think about it, anxiety kicks in. This is the room our son, our daughter grew up in. We spent many years here. This can also backfire on you as well. I had someone recently inherit a property from their parents, and they didn't want to sell it because they were emotionally attached. And then bad things began to happen to the home. There's a flood here in Roanoke, and they couldn't afford to fix it. So the longer you hang on to it, the less work you do, the less the home is worth, really, because it begins to fall apart. A home needs life in it. It needs the air conditioning running. It needs you walking through it. Okay, so the first tip is to work through the emotional attachment. Maybe you need to go see your therapist. Hey, that's not a problem. I can refer one to you. I've been to 6. Okay, the other tip is to hire an agent who is worthy of your business. Now, there are 2 million active agents in the United States, and there's tons of active agents here in Roanoke, but you know, who are the ones really doing the work? Well, it's a small percentage of them. And also you want to make sure that the agent is acting in your best interest. Here's an example. In my previous job, I purchased and priced properties for a home investment company in Florida, in Raleigh, in Charlotte, in Roanoke, and in Richmond. And some of these folks had already had their house listed with an agent, and it didn't sell. Well, I would ask them, I would say, hey, what was your agent telling you about your house after you had an open house? What kind of feedback were they giving you? And you would be surprised that 80% of the people said, well, the agent really didn't tell me anything. That's one of the things I do as your agent is, you know, as soon as I have an open house or someone wants to look at it, I always ask for feedback. What did you like about it? What did you not like about it? Oh, it was the swimming pool in the backyard. Okay. Well, thanks for letting me know, because, you know, you want to understand and have clear communication of what's going on with your house. And that's why it's important to hire a top agent like myself and someone that knows the market. And when it comes to pricing, the house. The next tip is to work through the financials. If you're confident about the decision to sell your house, the next step is to make sure you're in a strong financial position to do so. Or, you know, you might need the proceeds to cover the fees for your next home. If somebody lists a property but they don't go over the numbers, then by the time you get to escrow, you'll figure out how expensive it really can be to sell your home. You know, this is pretty important. I mean, a realtor is going to get about 6% of your fees, and that's the buyer's agent's 3%, selling agent 3%. That's me. And then also, it's customary now for the buyer to ask for you to pay the closing costs, which is around 3.4%, around that area, a little bit less or a little bit more. So these key factors come into play. So just make sure you do the math. Make sure you take your time if you can. According to a survey, this is pretty interesting. 30% of first-time and repeat sellers say they wish they'd given themselves more time to get their house ready for the market, making lack of preparation the most common regret among sellers. Because if you have some time, then you're more relaxed and the less anxiety you have. And then you don't have to go talk to your therapist as much or eat as much. You know what I'm saying? You get what I'm saying. Because once your home goes up for sale, it starts racking up what's called days on the market. And like my guy Keller Williams says, Wayne, the longer it sits there, the longer your home sits on the market, the more buyers will start to wonder if something's wrong with it, why it hasn't sold, and if they can get away with lowballing it from you. Take time to make sure your house is presentable, and it will pay off down the line. Here are just some simple things you can do. First, make sure you neutralize odors. I can spot cat pee in a second. Not visually, I can smell it. My wife says, "Hey, you've got a good sniffer." That is such a turnoff. It'll make somebody walk out the door. Organize your closets. Use apps like Let Go, Offer Up, Facebook Marketplace to get rid of stuff. I had this desk that I would not let go of, that I had when I was in high school. It weighed about 400 pounds. Do you remember the company This Ends Up? I couldn't lift it to get it to the curb. It was sitting in the garage, so I put it on Facebook Marketplace, and I was like, you know what? I'm going to see if I can get a few bucks for this thing. And I ended up giving it away for free just because I couldn't get it to the curb myself. So Marketplace is a great place to go to put stuff up. But word to the wise, if you put something up for free, your phone is going to blow up, and it's really freaking annoying. Your next tip is to focus on curb appeal. This is kind of like going out on a date. If you look presentable, then you're going to be more attractive. Your hair is fixed, unless you really like someone with messy hair, but you smell good, you showered, your shirt is crisp. Same thing when it goes to your home. 76% of the top real estate agents say improving curb appeal is the number one thing a homeowner can do to boost the marketability of their home. 94% of agents say curb appeal adds dollar value to the sale as well. I was just talking to one of my clients the other day, and he said, "Hey, we're just waiting on the mulch to get out here before we show the home." And I said, all right, well, let's get the mulch out, and then we'll have our open house. This was within a few days, because you'd be so surprised on how people think and what kind of feelings and emotions are going through their head when they look at the house and it looks crisp and clean, a little fresh kind of paint here and there. And while appraisers can't necessarily put a price on curb appeal, they do take into account the quality when it comes to reconciling the final value of the home. Remove dirt and grime, cobwebs, trim your trees and shrubs, put out that fresh mulch, and put a fresh, check this out. This is pretty interesting. When it comes to painting, don't worry about the entire house unless it's just falling apart. 71% of agents say to put a fresh coat of paint on the front door. And I've got folks that can do everything. My friend Jesse does plumbing. My friend Mark can do it all. I know a moving company. I know a tree service that will take good care of you. Let's talk about staging your home. This is another tip. My friend John does this. What is staging your home? Well, that's making sure the room looks right. An example, here's a really simple one. The kitchen, make sure the counters have nothing on them. I recently took me a couple hours to take pictures of a home I recently staged. I went into the room, and for example, over here in this corner, I would move the backpack and the books over into the next room. I would take these pillows and move them. I would take these boxes over here in the dog crate and move them, and these pictures over here. Oh, and also this chair over here, and move it into the next room to make the room look less cluttered before I take my picture. Or you can get as fancy as bringing in furniture to stage your home to make sure it looks really good when it comes to listing it. 67% of agents say staging increases the sales price. So the other thing too is that Nearly almost 100% of homes come with a home inspection. It's probably 90%. And you want to get ahead of the repair request with a pre-listing inspection. My friend John does this, and you can have your home inspected. And when it does get inspected by the people that are going to purchase it, the home inspector, it's their job to find anything and everything that could be wrong. So fix the loose gutter. Fix the loose board on the back deck, paint the room downstairs that needs a fresh coat of paint. You get the drift. So that way it doesn't get picked apart during a home inspection. Photos. You want to crush your listing photos, okay? And this can be true for a $120,000 home like I listed off Williamson Road, where I brought in a drone. Nobody does that, but it helps sell the home. And good photos will make your house sell faster. So it just really depends on what kind of property it is, if you're going to bring in the drone or not. But that's why you hire the professional photographer. So good photos are going to make it pop. All right. Very, very important. But like my friend Mac Westland says over at Keller Williams, you don't want to have the photos not be true of the home, because if they look at it and they're like, man, this home looks great, and then they show up to the house and it doesn't look like it does in the photos, they could be a little upset. So the next tip is to make sure you have a well-researched competitive price. Okay. The home, if it's overpriced, is not going to sell. There's two reasons a home doesn't sell. Number one reason is the price, right? So make sure your price is backed by comparable home sales. When I recently listed a house here in the area, I pulled homes that had sold, 3 of them, 3 homes that had listed, and then also 3 pending sales. But I wanted to take an extra step, and I drove the neighborhood and I pulled out a couple higher comps that were comparable to the home that I was about to list. And I thought to myself, you know what? I can get more for the home I'm listing than these houses. And I got together with my seller and we came up with a price, and it sold. So make sure you've got some good strategies when it comes to pricing your home. Also, your real estate agent, treat your agent as a partner, not an employee. Make sure you're on the same page, all right? Make sure it's not your way or the highway. Make sure that, when it comes to, making decisions, I would call up my client and say, hey, what do you think about this? Or they would call me. We are like family. We are hugging each other over decisions. So don't take the backseat approach. Make sure you have clear communication. And also, too, the last tip I'm going to give you here is show the house last minute, even if it's not in perfect shape. Throw the toilet seats down, remove your personal items and toiletries, wipe down the surfaces that need it, empty the garage, collect any loose toys or random items, put them in a bin, put everything from the sink in the dishwasher, sweep the floors, make the beds, close the closet doors. Hey, 20 minutes, that's all done. But hey, I can promise you this. If there's a cracker, if there's a shoe left out, or clothes on the floor, it's not going to stop somebody from purchasing your home. Here's a good example. Recently, I had some clients. They had to have their house on the market within 12 hours. Pictures taken and listed. Pretty nice home. I went into the house. I had the pictures taken. Each room staged. Took about 2 to 3 hours to get all this done. The problem, the basement was full of stuff. Some of it junk, some of it not. Boxes, and their relative had moved into a bigger home and given them tons of really nice furniture they didn't want to get rid of. So in the private remarks, your listing agent, what I will do for you, I put in the private remarks, please excuse the mess in the basement, the boxes. The sellers had to list this house quickly and have not had time to clean it. It did not stop the house from selling. Now, what could stop it from selling is if you've got animals down there that have gone to the bathroom everywhere. I think you get the gist now, right? So, hey, I wish you the best of luck when it comes to listing your home. And, I know that some of these tips to you might have stood out to you. Some of them you might have already known about. But if you use these correctly, your chances go up significantly of selling your home, especially when you have the Fraser Hughes experience. Thank you. That's me, licensed realtor here in the state of